There we go.
Hey everybody, this is We Still Like You, the show where people get up on stage and tell their most shameful or embarrassing story. I'm Jesse Batend. Today we have two stories of being stuck. Later on in the show, Audrey Jonas gets literally physically stuck in a baby swing. But first, we have a story about feeling stuck in the world. Growing up, Cam was kind of a dork and shy about dating. Still, he wanted to do something about it. So he went about solving his problem the way a young dork in the mid-90s would. He went on the internet and got the best dating advice a teen could pirate. From Chicago, here's Cameron Gillette.
When I was a freshman in college, I was a really lonely virgin, and I only hung out with like a small circle of my nerdy dude friends. And I was straight back then, and no girls were interested in me, and anytime I would try to flirt, it would just be this like, I'd get so in my head that I was just an awkward nightmare to interact with. So I started doing some research online, and I found an ebook called Double Your Dating, by a pickup artist named David D'Angelo.
Why do you see hot women on the back of motorcycles all the time? Because bad boys ride Harleys.
And I ate it up without processing that doubling zero is still zero. And I went on to torrent. Like, I pirated, like, his seminars, his video seminars and stuff. And if I hadn't pirated it, they normally cost, like, $100. And a lot of the dudes that went to these seminars paid, like, over $1,000 to be at this, to listen to this guy. And so he's, like, a millionaire who comes from lonely money. And I was thinking about talking about this stuff, and so I went on the Pirate Bay where I torrent stuff, and I found the actual like 2-hour seminar that I watched of this dude at the time, and I rewatched the whole thing, and it's really bad, and I edited it down to about a 2-minute sizzle reel of egregious shit that this guy says.
Women come pre-wired with a code, a set of attributes that their unconscious mating system is looking for. Matter of fact, if a woman says, yeah, I can't believe it, this guy came up to me and he was just like looking at me in this weird way, and you know, I don't know, I could tell he just was like wanting me for my body. A good thing to look at her and go is, well, I kind of just want you for your body too. What you do is you turn it around and you go, this is a problem that you have as a woman, that you don't get it.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Why do you see hot women on the back of motorcycles all the time? Because bad boys ride Harleys. Accountants don't ride Harleys, in her mind. If you're an accountant, you might want to go get one and just park it in the damn garage, okay? Buy one that's a good investment. You know, it just has investment quality, and park it in the garage and say, want to see my motorcycle? A woman thinks that she's attractive. Bust her balls about being attractive in a way that is saying that she's not. These are obviously generalizations, and I don't mean to, slam women or whatever. Guy chick, dingbat, teeny bopper, party girl, romantic, controller, accountant type, high profile drama queen, large or ugly and proud of it. Those are some of my favorites. I wouldn't really go after guy chicks unless you can kick her ass. Dingbats just aren't that interesting to me because they just don't get it. And that whole teeny bopper scene, as long as they're over 18, depending on which state you're in, can be fun, And if you realize that there are all these types of women, and when you go talk to one, that there's a good likelihood that she's going to be any one of these, and you go, hi, I realize that there's probably only a 1 in 10 chance that I'm going to be interested in you. But, you've got the look that I kind of like, so I'll give you a chance. Right? If a woman feels attraction, then nothing else matters.
Okay. All right. So there's that guy. We can bring it on. So I didn't have any female friends at the time, so I just didn't know that this was fucked up. And this guy, by the way, I don't think pickup artists, I don't think they're actually guys who are good at getting girls. They're salesmen who prey on lonely men, and a lot of the stuff that they preach resonates with guys who it resonates with guys who would rather resent women than work on themselves. And so that's my little clapter part. So the first time I tried to use this stuff, oh, by the way, I didn't really realize that all this stuff was tailored more towards like going out to bars and clubs. And I was a freshman in college, and I didn't go out and do stuff. So I was trying to use this stuff on girls that I just went to class with every day. And the first time I was in a music theory class, class just let out, and I was still sitting at my desk, and this girl was walking by my desk to leave, and I said, "Hey," and that worked. It made her pay attention to me, and then I had read, that you need to display dominance and assertiveness, so I said, "Sit down." And that worked. She did sit down. She looked scared that I was talking to her like a dog. And then here's what I did. I said, "So what's your music?" Which is a hip, cool way I made up of saying, "What kind of music do you like?" And she said, "You wanted me to sit down to ask me that?" And this was a critical point in the conversation, right? I had read that you need to display, your relative greater value to a woman from these books. So I said, "So why are you being stupid?" So now we're just fighting. A lover's quarrel, if you will. And we talked for maybe like a minute, and then she had to get going to her next class, so I didn't lose my virginity that time to this stupid woman. And let's see. Okay, so the next time I tried to do it, it was at the beginning of math class. I sat down. I did not do well in college. There's names of math. And I sat down next to this girl at the beginning of class, and I said, and I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And she said her name was Yasmin. And none of these books had actually even taught me to insert some creepy racism into your game. But nonetheless, I said, "Oh, that's exotic." And that wasn't the racist part. I said, "Yasmin, are you a genie?" Which got a very strained laugh. And then the professor walked into class right after that and started teaching a class, the entirety of which Yasmin had to sit next to me through. And it turns out she was not fucked during a math class exotic. Later on, I was walking through the lunch hall on campus, and I kind of passed by her as she was sitting by some friends, and she turned out to be point at that guy and laughing and say, "That's the guy," exotic. And okay, so the lesson. There's music playing out of that speaker, right? Okay, sorry. Okay, no, there's music coming from somewhere that's having fun. The last time I tried to do this, it was after astronomy class. This very pretty girl from astronomy class was sitting in a park, and I did about 4 laps around the park trying to build up the nerve to cold approach her. That's one of the terms. Cold approach, by the way, it's cold as in like from scratch, not cold as in devoid of empathy for the woman you're bothering. And I walked up and I sat down on the bench next to her and I said, "Hey, what's your name?" She told me, I was like, "What are you doing?" And she told me whatever she was studying. She was like, "I'm studying for this thing." And then I didn't know what to say. So she was like, "What are you doing?" And that really caught me off guard. So I decided to keep it real as fuck. And I said, I'm just trying to get good at talking to girls. And she gave me a look that was kind of like she just got creeped out by a puppy. And she actually kind of held my hand through the experience, metaphorically, not physically. She like talked to me for a second and then was like, for a second, and then was like, "Well, I got to get back to studying, but you did a real good job talking to a girl today, buddy." And that was demeaning enough that I kind of was like, I'm never putting myself through that again. I don't know. I'm never trying to hit on anyone again, and I never flirted with anyone again. And I think that if there's like a moral at all to the story, I started doing stand-up later in college, and I met more people through that and was going out more through that. And then I moved to Chicago, where I think I have more female friends than male friends that I hang out with regularly. And a lot of female friends is the antidote to having stupid attitudes about women. So that's, if there's any moral, it's if you are dumb and lonely, then you probably don't hang out with women. When you're not just trying to put your penis in their vaginas. And I owe it to a lot of awesome ladies in my life that I'm now like the wokest feminist in here. So after I would fail at hitting on a woman, would I go home and masturbate to ordinary porn, you ask? I mean, okay, if you want to go there. No, I was not. I masturbated while I played a computer hentai game called Sexy Beach. Now in this game, you play an invisible man with a disembodied hand who goes on dates with women who are all staying at the same resort as you. And they all have really different personalities, but the one thing they have in common is they all love to go on these dates where you dress them up and then just kind of stare at them. And Yeah, like she can read. She likes doing jump rope. Now, eventually, the staring leads to touching. Now, the convenient thing about this game is it's played entirely with a mouse, which frees up your other hand to masturbate your virgin penis. But, oh, shit, I'm sorry. This show's about shame, not brilliant innovations in game design. Okay, I'm done.
Hey, one more time for Cameron Gillette.
Comedian Cameron Gillette. Up next, Audrey Jonas realizes she's too old for the playground. We all have a moment where we realize that we're not kids anymore. You're done growing. You're an adult. And then this other thought sets in. That this is the body you have to live with for the rest of your life. For Audrey, that moment was very public and mildly painful. From Chicago, here's Audrey Jonas.
Whenever I walk past a park and I see like preteens playing on it, I always think that they kind of have like this reconciliation with the fact that they're getting older and they can't just use the playground properly because they feel uncomfortable. Like they're worried, like they're suddenly faced with the fact that they are too old to be playing on the playground, so they do things like lay on top of the monkey bars or like walk up a slide to like feel the thrill of danger because like you feel your youth closing in on you, you know? I went to a birthday party when I was 11 years old, and it was in Norwood Park, which is the neighborhood in Chicago that I'm from. It's also home to John Wayne Gacy's Crawl Space, and you? Okay, cool. Jason Van Dyke's, I think, attorney. So, like two equally horrible manifestations of the white male soul. So it's what it is it's like the far northwest side, and it's the type of place where kids can just go to the park by themselves. And so we would go to the park by ourselves and to abuse the playground, right? To abuse all the equipment. So we're on the playground and we're playing, and we do that thing where we stand in the baby swing, hold on to the chains with both hands and kind of like try to swing back and forth. Very, very cool. Highly recommend. And I was always bigger than all of the other kids in my class. And I'm swinging on these baby swings, and I watch my friends one by one just kind of sit down. So I was like, I could do that. So I sit in the baby swing, and we're swinging and dangling our legs, and we're done. It's time to go home. So they just lift themselves out of the baby swings and climb out. And I try to lift myself out, and I can't. So, like, my legs are at, like, a 90-degree angle, and my thighs have, like, sucked themselves into the holes. And I'm, like, trying to lift myself up with, like, no upper body I still don't have any, like, no upper body strength. And I realize that I am, like, truly stuck in this baby swing. And so my friends start freaking out, and they all start coming around me, and they all start crowding around, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're really stuck. And they tip me back to pull me out. So one person tips the swing back, another person has her hands right under my armpits, and they try to just slide me out. And they slide my pants down, and I'm watching it happen. They slide down. I see the tops of my legs. They slide down. I see like the whispers of pubic hair starting to peek out, and I completely lose it. I'm like, put me down, put me down, put me down. They tip me back into the baby swing, and I'm sitting in the baby swing with like a plumber's crack of jeans, just sagging down, and my legs are still dangling, and just imagine like 12, 11-year-olds just standing around trying to figure out the physics of how to get someone. So they're like, let's go get your mom. So they go across the street, get my friend's mom. She comes back, and I can hear her as she's walking. She says, "Why is Audrey in the baby swing?" Not why is Audrey in a baby swing. Why is Audrey in the baby swing? And so she gets close, and she's like, "You really can't get out." And I was like, "No." And she's like, "All right, here's what you got to do. You got to choose. All right, we can either drag you out, we can either pull you out, or we got to call the fire department." And like now I'm like, what an unusual ultimatum. Like, we can either like, oh yeah, sure, call 40 jacked firefighters to come look at my pubes. Like, I'm like, are you sure we have also, like, I'm pretty sure we would get arrested for a false alarm, but okay, maybe. And I feel like Gilbert Grape's mom, like, come get the fire department to get you out of this child's swing. And she's like, we could try to pull you out again. And I was like, you guys can't pull me out again. You can't pull me out again. I have a thought in my mind where I was like, what if I just sit here forever and starve, and then just get smaller, and then I could just slide out one of those leg holes. Like, that would be, at this point, way more palatable than getting dragged out of this thing again. So finally, she's like, you gotta choose which one you want to do. Also, in retrospect, I'm like, why are we in such a rush? Can we not just, like, let someone collect their emotions for 1 second? She's like, let's go. All right, your mom's gonna pick you up in 10 minutes. Let's go. You gotta get out of here. So I'm like, okay, fine. Let's do this one more time. Like, let's try this one more time. And I make eye contact with my friend, like how, like, I swear, like a kidnapped person at a rest stop. Like, just this, like, desperate, like, please help me, like a human trafficked person on an airplane to a flight attendant, like, oh my gosh, I need you right now to intervene in my life. And my friend comes up towards me, and I look down at my pants, and she was like, gotcha. Everyone else laughing hysterically. They were having the time of their life watching me slide out of the swing again. So she comes up, she holds my pants up, and she slides me out, and I keep my pants on, and I get out of the baby swing. Thank you for your relief here. So I get out of the baby swing. I have wood chips all over my back, and I'm like dusting myself off, and I'm like, this is like, what a close call to like be almost naked in front of all of your friends. And like, I wish this was just a story about getting stuck in a baby swing, but it was just also such a cruel reminder at 11 that like my body was too big for everything, and that I literally could not be a baby for as long as everybody else. And I guess like what you realize is that you can either just hate the prison that your body is and treat it like a prison that you have to live in every day, or you can just be okay with it. And my friends still tell this story. I'm almost 30 years old, and they still tell this story, and I can either like cringe and ask them to please not retell it, or I can just laugh about it, because you gotta choose. So.
Comedian Audrey Jonas. And that does it for this episode of We Still Like You. If you enjoyed today's show, do us a favor and tell someone about it. You'll never know how much it actually helps. If you really want to do us a solid, sign up to support the show on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/We Still Like You. A couple of bucks a month will keep the roof over our heads and get you something cool. If you want to tell a story at one of our live shows, check out the submission page. You can find that at WeStillLikeYou.com. We're on Facebook at We Still Like You. We tweet at We Still Like You. I'm Jesse Batend, and as always, thanks for being your terrible selves.